We got to talk about Sheriff Hood and what a piece of shit that guy is.
What? Why is he a piece of shit? I saw the Weasel's video, but I don't remember him being
He's a monstrous piece of shit. He's like dating his 15-year-old cousin.
Oh.
He beat the fuck out of a guy in a mall. Just some random Well, am I on record or
Yeah.
don't you get this on the pod?
yeah, I'm recording.
He'll beat that, and it's kind of scary because I don't know if he's the one of those. It's a scary the white muzzies like that. They're very scary, dude. This is White Muzzy Fest weekend, and we got to get up. This is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is
White
Muzzy
Mountain
Fest.
Muzzies, dude. White Mountain Muzzies everywhere, as far as the eye can see this weekend.
And it's going deep on the card too. Let's count the Mohammeds. Let's see.
Jesus Christ.
There's one. There's Muhammad Yahya. I saw Yahya and I was like, what the heck? Hani Yahya's on this card? But no. Let's see. Muhammad Naimov. Okay, there's only two Muhammads that I'm seeing. Oh, no. Muhammad Makhachev. What's up, Muhammad Makhachev?
And there's Mogomeds.
Lot of Evs on the main card. A lot of Ovs. Makhachev, Shemaev, Ankalaev. You got
Evloyev,
Aliskirov, Nurmagomedov. Yeah, man, they're doing it big over there. And it really goes to show that this is not a card that they could let go of the main or co-main event, man. Like they were going to put anybody they had to in there to make this happen. And let's just jump right into that because we didn't get to record an episode last week. And that's right as all this news was popping off that Charles Oliveira had sustained an injury and would have to pull out of his fight with Islam Makhachev. And then pretty much the next day, it was confirmed that Paulo Costa had a really gnarly staph infection and needed surgery on his arm. Huh?
That looked insane. His elbow looked wild.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like the type of injury you see on like cattle. Like when you go and like you go to like a petting zoo and like something there, like they have like a baby cow or something, and it's just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like the side of like the back of its leg is just all fucked up, and they're like, oh, it just gets like that. That's how his elbow looked.
Yeah, just a fucking cyst and a half. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting comparison. Like cattle, like just
that looked straight like cattle. Like they have an abscess and they just pop it, and it's like, it looks weird, but they feel so much better now. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, man. For you, in your opinion, did this card get better? Did it improve?
The second I read it, yes. And then now that I'm like watching things and like kind of like thinking about it, now it's like, man, shit. Because what did they say? Like Kamaru Usman, his knee fucking popped all nasty in the open workout today or some shit, right?
So that was going around today, and then that video that we shared in the chat, it got taken down because, excuse me, Justin Gaethje was in the comments of that video saying, refuting it, saying like, no, he didn't say it popped. He said that was good or something like that.
Yeah, Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje can't see. Justin Gaethje, we've been seeing him like smoke fucking fat fucking snake dabs like for the last 3 weeks on Instagram. So, I mean, what is he really going to say, you know?
Yeah. And of course he's going to go to bat for Usman and say like, oh no, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, dude, that shit popped. That shit sounded gross as fuck. You guys should have been there. Yeah, what's he going to say?
If Usman has no intention of pulling out as a result of any little minor injury he may have sustained during the open workouts, then Gaethje has no choice but to go along with it and say like, no, that wasn't the case. And I mean, good teammate of him to do that. But looking at that video though, Usman didn't really inspire me, like. Yeah,
and Gaethje's face said a lot in that. He was just like, whoa, what the fuck? But in the comment section, and this is weird, and I should not be in any type of comment section, especially like MMA comment sections. I've told you that I've almost died reading comment sections. Somebody in there said, oh, I train with Usman, and he has fucked. And this doesn't it doesn't inspire any confidence, but he's like he has really fucked up knees, and when you roll, it sounds like popcorn. Did you read that or no?
I didn't read that one. I think
Yeah.
the post had got deleted before I got to that.
Oh yeah, and so the guy said, yeah, it just pops and pops, and like it's and he, I guess he's a brown belt. The guy said, or he is. I mean, because then a lot of people went and like looked into who this dude was, and like, oh, it's legit that he does.
Mm.
He said that it sounds like popcorn when you roll with him, and when they always stop, and he's like, hey, are you okay? He's like, oh, dude, it's just gonna keep doing that. Like, don't worry about it. So I guess it's just constantly popping and popping. But when the Gaethje's face and Kamaru's face and the way they just stopped and walked away was kind of like, what the hell? And he's been getting up. Like I've been watching um some of the videos on YouTube. What is the video of the series that they do on YouTube? I just got done watching it. Um
That the UFC does,
yeah, on
or
YouTube.
not embedded. I don't know what they do on
Embedded,
YouTube.
right?
Oh,
It
okay.
looks like when he gets up, he looks like fuck, dude. He looks like I don't know. He looks like my grandpa. My grandpa was a contractor for the longest time, and like when he'd get up off the bench to go get another beer, that's how Kamaru Usman looks like when he gets up off the ground, dude.
Not one fluid movement. No, yeah. And in
Yeah,
that video, he looked a little stiff getting up. And
yeah.
someone did also point out in another on another page where they had posted it that when they're getting off that stage, that Justin Gaethje stops and like helps him off the stage, like instead of
Oh my
it's
god,
not a great look. So
not when you're going up against God mode White Muzzy. That's probably not the fucking. This dude is Game Genie White Muzzy, dude. This guy
Chechi
is
boy,
fucking.
Chen.
this, this guy's Chin Supreme, dude. Dog face.
Yeah. So I'm not putting any scratch down on these fights. I'm not making any bets or anything like that. But if
Bet
I
on Victor.
was,
I'd
huh?
bet on Victor Henry.
Ooh,
I bet on Victor Henry. He's a crazy ass underdog, and he shouldn't be that bad of an underdog. I was looking at that.
that's a fantastic fight. Him and
Yeah,
Javid Basharat, fucking
yeah,
banger and a half, man.
yeah.
Your idol Cedric Dumas is back on this card too now
Dude,
against
that
Abu
is all
Azaitar.
time piece of shit fight between the two of those guys, dude. That's straight abomination, dude. Fuck, dude. You have a straight fucking drug dealer, domestic abuser against like a smaller, more jacked drug dealer, domestic abuser.
Do you
Crazy.
think that
My
Ramzan
boy.
Ramzan Kadyrov will be ringside for this event?
Damn, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
He has to be.
Yeah, he has to be.
I don't doubt that he will at all. And I just want to. I'm
He's gonna be
more
wearing a
curious.
suck it Zelensky shirt. It's just gonna say all big.
And I'm more curious to see if Dana White is going to continue to pretend like he doesn't know who Kadyrov is, and
Yeah,
because they're going to ask him about it in the post presser, and he's going to be like,
they have to.
he was ringside. Well, I'm glad he's a fan. I'm glad he's here.
Oh, was that the guy with the hyena on a leash? Like, yeah, he was there with the hyena, a live hyena. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. So getting back to this co-main event, Usman Shemaev. I wasn't crazy about the Paulo Costa fight to begin with. I'm not a big fan of
Oh,
Paulo Costa.
I was excited for it.
I
I
never
like
saw
Paulo
why
Costa.
people thought Costa had a shot in that fight. Like,
What is it? Because when we first started hanging out, you seemed like a really big Costa fan when we first started, like when it was known, when you weren't just like that weird guy in the band that kicked it with Rodell. When we like started talking about when we were like, oh, you like this shit too.
uh,
I back then I thought you were a big Costa fan at one point, no?
no, Mike was down for Costa for a
Yeah.
bit, and I didn't like hate Costa. I didn't always hate Costa, but I was never on his war wagon.
Yeah.
I always kind of thought like, okay, it's pretty obvious why the UFC is wanting to push this guy. He's got a lot of what you need to be marketable for sure, and he does do well for himself on his social media and everything.
South American Rockhold.
I would say I was mostly indifferent to him. I didn't hate Paulo Costa or anything like that, but the constant pulling out of fights and the fact that he's a guy who does continuously seem to lose up, like he gets even better and better opportunities coming off of losses.
He fights like once a year.
Yeah, I've always said being inactive like that is one of the best ways for me to just straight up not be a fan of you. Like,
True.
even if you're a fighter that I don't particularly like, if you get out there and you apply your trade often and you're active, then I mean I'm not going to hate it. But I do kind of wonder where I would be like on Colby Covington if he was a guy who was getting in there 3 times a year, 2-3 times a year. Like I think I'd probably.
You'd be where I'm at. I really like Colby Covington now.
I don't mind Colby Covington the fighter. I just wish he would actually fight. But
yeah,
he's going to soon.
The Clovis kid, Colby Covington.
Colby Chaos Covington. So for this co-main,
right? We've talked about that.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, and my piece, I do think the fight improved until earlier today when those videos started surfacing of him apparently saying that he popped something. But if if the guy who trains with them or trains around them is to be believed, then and he just has these popcorn knees, then I'll hope for that, because I do think that I think that peak Kamaru Usman, or what would you say, prime Kamaru Usman, like the best version of him, would probably beat Khamzat Chimaev just on experience.
Loses to George St. Pierre. That's that I think like prime. What's prime Usman like? Can you pull up his Tapology window?
Sure.
Because it was even before. It was even before he fought for the win. It was even before he beat Woodley.
I want to say it was probably around that time, when right before and right after he got the title shot. Probably when he fought Covington the first time, in my opinion, is probably prime Usman.
Yeah.
And I think the experience that he has versus Chimaev's relative inexperience, just getting a lot more looks than Chimaev has. I think I would favor Usman there. Now, coming in on short notice, a weight class up, which is only going to be tougher because I think Chimaev's got a guy who's going to settle in very, very nicely to middleweight. Probably be challenging for the belt pretty soon after this fight. I don't think I could confidently pick Usman anymore. I'm going to have to go heavy on Chimaev for this one.
Chimaev's going to win like stoppage strikes. I think he's gonna rock him pretty good, and then because if Usman can't take down Leon Edwards, then like what the fuck?
Good point. Great point. Yeah, that's a problem there. Yeah. So we're both going Khamzat Chimaev to get the big win, have his moment there in Abu Dhabi, and then that will lead us into this main event: Islam Makhachev doing the rematch with Alexander Volkanovski because of Charles Oliveira's absence. This wasn't a fight that I wanted them to run back immediately at all.
Right.
But since we ended up with this fight anyways, I do kind of wish that they would have just ended up booking this fight instead. That way Volkanovski would have had a full training camp. Because if you're going to ask me, like, well, okay, you get this fight anyways, then would you prefer if Volkanovski was underprepared or what? Because if he loses this time, I don't think he's getting another shot.
There's so much to lose for him on this. Because the way media is nowadays, or the way the perception of things are nowadays, it's going to be like, because no one's going to remember the context of it. No one's going to put that into, because the context of this is insane. He is so badass. He and Usman are both very badass for taking these fights. I mean, I'm sure when you get paid the amount that they're probably getting paid, and the fact that it's in Abu Dhabi, and there's probably some backdoor bonuses that these boys are getting, it makes me sad because he's going to lose. And I think 2 or 3 years from now, the context of it is not gonna. It's not gonna. There really should. People should really realize what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Like, why did he take this fight? And no one's gonna care them. He lost the fucking second time. Well, but no one realizes he's out. He just had surgery. He was preparing to fight in his regular um, weight class, so I'm sure he wasn't like bulking at all. I'm sure he wasn't eating, or he's fighting against Makhachev in Abu Dhabi, where you don't the rules on rehydration and whatever. I'm sure they're gonna do whatever they can. I guess apparently the rules in Perth and Australia, that's where we saw like Jack Della Magdalena look like he was gonna fucking die, and Josh Emmett, that's where he looked like he was gonna fucking die, you know? So the rehydration period, the length that they have in between cuts is way different now. Makhachev was fucking dead almost after the weigh-ins. He had way less time to rehydrate. He was going to like janky ass allegedly going to janky ass IVs and getting fucking shit in this hotel room, where now I'm sure everything's in his favor. So Volk had everything going in his favor. Home field. Makhachev
I
was
see what you're
depleted.
Yeah.
And he still lost. I mean, I'm watching it again. You know what I mean? He lost, dude. You know what I mean? So so now everything is like on. Makachev's going to be so big and so fucking strong. And how much can you really wrestle after a surgery like he had? How much grip strength is back? It's just, damn, you need some grip strength.
Yeah.
When you're going up against boys like this.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic point. Everything was in Volkanovski's favor, outside of, just in size in general, in their first fight, and now all of the chips are stacked against him, and there's still a part of me who's holding out hope a little bit. Not that I'm like necessarily rooting for one guy over the other. Like, I'm kind of just whatever, like either outcome I'm fine with, but if you're gonna ask me to like pick the fight or make the prediction, there's still a part of me who thinks that Volkanovski has a shot just based off who he is and what he's accomplished in this sport. And I don't even mean to make that to say like experience, but IQ, and having fought Makhachev so recently, I kind of wonder like if he's the kind of guy who can actually make the right adjustment. What does he or his coach see in that first fight that they could do differently, that could potentially give Makhachev a different look, catch him off guard, and maybe even catch him, because he's been preparing for Oliveira here. A lot of people are saying that like Volkanovski's playing with house money here, like he has room to experiment, and that's a very like a nice soundbite. It's a nice thing to say when you're trying to break down this fight, but when you're in the cage with Islam Makhachev, like it's a fight. Like, I mean, he's still incurring a lot of risk there, and I'm really curious to see if he could still make it as close of a fight as it was before. But like you mentioned, that the surgery, the surgery, the fact that he was training for Ilia Topuria in January, which I'm very upset that fight's probably not going to happen now on his Tapology page.
Dude, if he beats Makhachev, okay, then he's like right there, top 3 all time. If he's not there already, and then if he just goes into the fight in January,
he's my goat.
Shut the fuck up. This sport's done. Everyone is in this guy's sport. Like, they're gonna rename fucking boulevards in Hollywood and fucking Las Vegas after him.
Yeah, it's Volkanovski's world, and we're just living in it in that case. I've said it as soon as they booked this fight, and then I saw that they still had the Ilia Topuria fight booked on Tapology, and I took a screenshot of it because I'm like, this is history right here. Nobody has 2 title fights booked.
The Adam Sandler meme, the precious, what is that, Uncut Gems meme? This is history.
Exactly. And then of course they started to and fucking all the props to him. Like, this is some real BMF behavior here. If he intends
Yeah.
to still go into his fight and defend his title against Ilya, like if he, regardless of whatever the result is this weekend, if he's healthy and not super banged up, like to do both, like like Volkanovski would probably be ascended to like my favorite fighter status. Like I can't deny that. But I think what's much more likely is we end up losing the Ilya Topuria fight, and then
You think so?
Ilya's gonna. I mean, they already said it's gonna be Ilya versus Max if Volkanovski can't go in January, and I hate that fight. I mean, in a vacuum, that's an amazing fight. I want to see those guys fight eventually, but it's like exactly if Max wins, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, dude.
Max doesn't lose non-title fights, so
Yeah. He'll be damned if he loses to some tiny Euro trash.
Yeah, I'm really upset about that one. I think that's the reason why I hope that Volkanovski wins. If I'm gonna have to say like I'm rooting for one guy over the other, that's probably why I'm rooting for Volk.
I'm rooting, so I would not bet money on it. I do think in our picks to tonight or whenever we do this that I think Makhachev wins, but I'm rooting so hard for Alex Volkanovski, harder than I ever have before. And I'm a big fan of his.
So who are you picking?
Makhachev.
Okay, I'm picking Makhachev too. All right, those are our picks for the main and co-main event. You want to talk about this USADA news?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can if you'd like to.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to talk about what a piece of shit this Sheriff Putin guy is or whatever.
I don't know anything about that. I mean, by all means, go off, Queen, but I don't.
Yes. Oh, well, I'll just make it quick here. So he's dating his own family member who's underage. I don't know what the consent is in whatever mountain he lives on or whatever. But so I could be talking shit. Like, it could be totally cool to fuck your 15-year-old cousin where he's from. So that's cool. But I guess he was in a shopping mall and a guy was like on an escalator with his girlfriend, just this fat guy. And he like gave his girlfriend a kiss on the cheek, and I guess in that area you can't, like, public displays of affection was like, yeah, you don't do that. And so
hold on. You're saying the guy that I'm assuming you were about to say that he accosted him, he attacked him.
Yeah,
that guy kissed his own girlfriend.
Yeah, he was going up an escalator, and then the couple was going down, and he was standing he was standing behind him. And then he gave him a kiss, or he pecked his girlfriend on the cheek, like, "Oh, I love you," and then kind of went back. And then the guy was going up, and then he like went and just fucking beat the fuck out of him. And the guy kind of held his own against him too. And then he was like stomping him in the head. And then like it all kind of went fine. And then he went outside and like went around the corner and then sucker punched him. Like as the guy was going around a corner. And was like, "Well, why did you do that?" And he's like, "Well, he shouldn't be doing that in public. Like, there's places for that, not in the mall." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And
what a backwards ass bro. Yeah, no, I mean, that doesn't, it's not too shocking because I kind of know the way they are with their women over there. Sure. I'm not here to pass judgment, but that's a real piece of shit move, especially because I thought you were going to say, it sounded like you were saying that other guy gave a kiss to his girlfriend, to Magomedov's girlfriend, but his own girlfriend. Imagine getting your ass kicked because you kissed your own girlfriend in public.
You're at fucking Build-A-Bear, and I'll like smack my girlfriend on the ass, and then the guy just breaks my arm. Like, what the fuck?
You know what? I said I wasn't going to pass judgment, but that's some dumb shit. That's some really fucking dumb shit, man.
And then he was in, I don't know which one it was, but it was like just a grappling tournament because he's a fucking good fighter. He's an amazing striker, crazy fucking striker. But he was in a grappling tournament, and the guy beat him, fair and square beat him. So then he just fucking picks the guy up and slams him, and then starts to fucking beat the fuck out of him. Was like pushing his head in the mat.
I think I saw footage of that.
Yeah,
I think someone put that in his highlight reel, like it's something to be impressed by.
Yeah,
when in reality he was just attacking a dude.
Yeah, so but it's just been crazy, dude.
Please, Bruno Silva.
Yeah, no, he won't. But this guy's very good. This guy's
Mhm.
insane, but it doesn't mean you can't be a piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, he doesn't have any wins over anybody who I am familiar with, which I would.
yeah,
That's as what I was expecting. But he does have all wins, at least wins that aren't under like modified MMA rules. Yeah, they're all finishes as far as I can tell,
yeah.
which is very impressive. So, whether he's given it or taken it, I think we should look forward to an exciting one in
Hey,
the
yo,
prelim opening fight.
yeah.
We're gonna have to wake up early as fuck for that one too.
Yeah, I had another group chat. The boys were like, "Fight night, what's up, bitch?" And I was like, "Dude, 7 a.m. Where are we gonna go watch this at Denny's? Like, what the fuck? You guys are fucking dumb, dude."
I'm surprised that there's a WMMA fight on this card. I just realized that Jin Yu Fry versus Victoria Dudikova. I didn't even know that they let the gals get down over there like that.
What? What the
Yeah,
hell?
I was expecting. I'm sure they've had WMMA fights on Abu Dhabi cards before, but I'm sure there's been at least one where there was none. But yeah, not exactly
I felt
pulling out
like
the
the
heavy hitters
last
for that one.
one they didn't, but I could be wrong.
That's probably what it was, and it's maybe recency bias because I remember them not
Mm.
having. So in my head, I probably went, "Oh, it's fucking backwards as shit over there. They don't want
Oh,
women on their cards." But
also, what really is stacked up against Volkanovski is Habib's coaching again. So it's like, what the fuck? Because Volk wasn't, Habib wasn't coaching in the
you're
last
right.
time Volk fought,
Yeah,
and
he
Habib's like running the show now. So it's like, god damn, dude, if
yeah.
Volk does this shit,
It'd be so impressive, But you're absolutely right. Yeah, he like soft retired from coaching at that time, so he wasn't
hmm
in his corner. And I did see that the Coach Javi, aka, was at UAE Nurmagomedov camp or something like that. Where like I think Khabib
Team
opened his
Eagle
own.
or whatever it's called. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he opened his own facility and gym over there now.
yeah.
So we'll see how much longer those guys will really be affiliated with AKA moving forward because I don't picture Coach Javi like relocating over there or anything. But I mean, he's
I
one of the
think they'll
best in the
be.
biz, man. It would only hurt them to not work with him. He's so familiar with all of those guys.
I think they will just because they need a place to go, because
Oh, to
not every
train for
fight's
fights stateside.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, not every fight's gonna be in Abu Dhabi. So
And unlike Hamzat Shemaev, they're not like directly linked to a terrorist like war criminal, and that is
they're allowed to move countries,
yeah.
or they don't have to fight once a year because of their passport.
Yeah, I'm convinced that that's probably the case with
That
Shemaev
has to
now.
be. He's on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So probably another reason why they absolutely had to make this fight happen for him or find somebody and dangle a real carrot like Usman there too to keep him on the card because it's like, hey, I mean, I guess Shemaev probably would have fought anybody at that point, but yeah, Johnny Walker, Magomed Ankalaev,
Johnny Walker's gonna win.
that one's an interesting one.
Johnny
Magomed
Walker's gonna
Ankalaev
win.
seems Ankalaev seems just passive enough to let Johnny Walker come out and do some bullshit and catch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, the last Brazilian guy he fought, Santos. Santos was on some wild shit. That was before he fucked up his knees, right? Or was it after? But he did some wild shit, and then Magomed just held him down the whole fight after that. He's like, okay, no more. Like, I'm not gonna fucking do that anymore.
Yeah, he fought Santos in 2022, so well after Santos's
Yeah.
knees were toast.
But
Hmm.
Santos caught him with a couple. I think, if I'm not mistaken, caught him with a couple of shots. And then Uncle I was like, okay, no. But I think Uncle Ive is so fundamentally sound, and I think he trains so fundamentally sound. Someone as weird as Johnny Walker and as big, watch when they fucking face off, it's going to scare people because I'm sure a lot of people in their head when they see Ankalaev fight, they think like, oh, he's a monster. He fought Jan Blachowicz. Johnny Walker is a legit freak.
He's
He is
massive.
a legit freak
Yeah.
person, dude. He's not. It's not right. It's very off putting, and he moves so fast.
Off-putting.
It's off putting how like large he is, dude. Pause.
He looks like one of the prawns from District 9.
Oh fuck, dude! Like his legs should be backwards, like moving like a different way. Yeah, he is just built. Pause. He's a very big man. Pause again. And he's just like fucking. He swings from fucking and he can just jump super fucking high. He's like looks like a Boston Dynamics robot. You know what I mean? Where it's like, why is he moving like that? He's fucking huge, and he's been getting very well trained. He's been in. I mean, now he's got a couple years now with a legit training camp with a legit coach,
Kavanaugh and
with Kavanaugh, and all those guys. So. I mean, and Ankalaev fucked himself by the way he behaved after that Jan Blachowicz fight, where he threw a bitch fit that I won, and he was now. See, this isn't even a fucking.
That was
title.
Kadyrov. That was Kadyrov that fucked him over. Kadyrov was writing open letters to Dana White like, "Oh, you make a mockery of UFC. Overturn this fight." It's like, dude, hey,
dude, chill.
Stay in your lane. Why don't you go execute some gay people, Kadyrov?
Yeah, dude. Why don't you go find a parade somewhere and like. Go fuck with that, dude. Like this. The men are talking here, but yeah, he threw a bitch fit after it, and he acted like a bitch after that. So if he beats Johnny Walker, which he should, he won't, but he should. It's not even a title contender match. If Walker wins, he'll do better. He'll be better off for a title shot than Ankalaev will.
Oh, probably because they'll want to push someone who's more exciting into contention.
Yeah, Ankalaev is fucked. He fucked himself with and it's insane because he didn't lose the fight. So it's all based off of the attitude he had, the people who came to his corner.
Record break. He lost that fight. Jan Blachowicz should be the light heavyweight champion right now. It was a draw. Yeah, it was a draw, but. I thought Jan Blachowicz should have won that fight. Okay, of course I do. Of course I think that.
Well, then call the guys at Topology and have them change it then, because Kenny said.
I was reading off the Kadyrov script for the other way. I was doing my best Polish accent and everything.
Polish power, yeah. No, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, but he fucked himself bad. He's in like a lot of. Fucked up shit's gonna have to happen for him to even get a shot again.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the Pereira versus Jiri era right now. Like, there's a lot of cases across multiple weight divisions where dudes coming up or making the move just made people who absolutely should deserve a title shot just completely irrelevant. Like now we got this situation at middle. Not to take it back to the middleweight division, or the co-main, but. Khamzat Chimaev and Kamaru Usman. Now we're talking about the winner of that fight gets the next title shot. And what about Dreki Duplessis, dude? Like, what about Dricus?
Duplessis, dude.
Fucking Dricus beat Rob Whittaker, and it's like at that point it was unanimous. Like he was undeniable. Yeah. How do you not give the next title shot to Dricus Duplessis? And now he is very likely going to be passed up for it. And now we're in a situation like that too, where there's multiple guys. We're talking Jamal Hill, like was the most recent light heavyweight champion. Yeah. And now he's not even going to be mentioned in the conversation.
No one even has. Dude, I forgot about him. I completely until you brought that up right now.
So yeah, no, absolutely. Ankalaev is going to move down the list. Even with an impressive win, nobody's going to be talking about Ankalaev challenging for this title, unfortunately. And as much as I agree that Johnny Walker has a real shot in this fight, I think for the same reason, Ankalaev also potentially has a shot. Or well, both guys have a fucking shot, obviously. But I think Ankalaev kind of shines when someone is aggressive against him. He did it
Yeah.
twice against Iwan Kutalaba and put him out both times.
Oh, okay. Well,
Dalcha Lungiambula. I feel like if you want to turn it on and come at Ankalaev, like that's actually when he responds in kind. And
oh man,
so
the
I think
Ian
this.
Lava card on. Oh shit. Well,
So I just feel like
yeah.
this has like potential like sleeper banger of the main card. I'm not saying this is going to win fight of the night or anything because they just wouldn't give it to it, but I think this one could potentially be a lot more entertaining than people will probably
It
give it credit
is.
for.
Yeah, and Johnny Walker's gonna like. What does that fool have to lose? And he looks like in the embeddeds and in some of the interviews, he's loose. He's happy. He's like, I don't give a fuck. This is fucking sick. I love this shit.
Yeah.
And so that's not. That doesn't. He just doesn't seem as like he wasn't very serious before. But if in the past, if you're going up against a Magomed Ankalaev and you'd be like, fuck, this is a big deal. I'd probably be a little nervous, and not to say that he's not, but he just doesn't seem like he's intimidated at all. Like he just doesn't give a fuck. Like, what's this guy gonna do to me?
Another thing that I should mention about Magomed, he has never lost via KO or TKO. He's one submission lost, but this is not a guy who typically gets finished. And Johnny Walker only wins fights by finish. Like
Yeah,
that's his only MO. So it's a little bit of a immovable object, unstoppable force kind of like situation.
That's a good point, man. Yeah. Dang. Yeah, that's true. He still wins by KO in the second round.
It's going to be some crazy whimsical Johnny Walker knockout.
2 minutes and 10
about,
seconds into the second round, dude.
Why is his body like that? He's going to become a prawn. His legs are going to bend backwards. He's going to become a prawn.
Dude, he should not move that way. He reminds me of like Boston Dynamics when that robot's kind of running and then it jumped and then it like backflipped off the box. Like, whoa, they can do that shit. Like that's how he is. Like when his knees, when his like entire torso's out of the fucking cage and it's just like his bottom half is in the cage. That shit's crazy.
That shit's crazy. Oh, what are we doing? Hold on. I'm trying to paste this into the chat. Copy image address.
What are you doing now? You're gonna put prawn in there or what?
Yeah.
What the hell
This
is
is
this?
Johnny Walker right there, dude.
Let me see. Oh fuck! Yep. That is him. Holy fuck, dude.
When he was maybe in his like third fight into the UFC, he was coming out to the pre-fight press conference and he came out like in a tux, and there's something about the way he carried himself that I looked at him and was like, he looks like an alien in a human body. Like the dude's
he
a
was
fucking
an exotic
freak,
dancer, right?
Oh, he was. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know he was an exotic dancer, dude?
No. Pause.
For a long.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he was an exotic dancer.
All right. Now you're gonna have me googling that.
Google
Let's
it,
see. Johnny
please.
Johnny Walker working the pole.
Nah.
Cool,
Pause.
So we have some dissension
Hey, yo.
there. I'm going Ankalaev. You're going Johnny Walker on that fight. That's good because we were lockstep on the co-main and the main event. So I'm glad that there's some differences there. Was there anything else that we didn't agree on this card? Let's see. Nothing that we really covered. Yeah, there's nothing else that I feel very, very strong about, to be honest.
I would just say anybody who's out there put money on Victor Henry. And I'm a big Basharat fan, but he's just too much of a underdog. So that stuck out to me right away.
When the clock strikes midnight on December 31st, 2023, and we enter into the new year, who will become the alpha? Like who will ascend to like straight up GOAT status because of the new testing regulations or because of the UFC's parting with USADA?
From what I understood, from what I heard in the which Hunter Campbell's very weird to watch for more than a few minutes. But from that interview, it's like the more you watch him, like it's like you know those pictures where like the more you watch it, the more it gets weirder. You know, like the more you watch that guy, the more it's like, what the fuck is this?
I think anytime you get the opportunity to just watch people who very very clearly wipe their ass with money, you start to see the weirdness into it. It was like, oh, there's things that you've never ever struggled with in your entire life, and you have
Yeah,
a looseness to you that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the way I understood it, they kind of USADA's like kind of losing it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
From what I understood, they said they're just kind of getting weird. They're getting squirrely.
mm,
They're losing money, and this is all UFC painted narrative to make it seem, but it does make a lot of sense when you go back and kind of research it.
mm,
I guess they had lost some really big accounts like through horse racing, right? Because they were testing like the biggest horse races, like the Triple Crown, and USADA lost that, which was a huge thing for them. And then I think without the horse racing, then UFC turned into like 30 or 40% of
mm,
their revenue, and they were kind of like making they were treating it as if the UFC had no choice in the matter, and there's nowhere else to go. And there's like, no, there's plenty of places we can go, and the treatment of the fighters was always kind of at the forefront of it. So I'm glad. I mean, from what it sounds like, they're putting a pretty reputable company in there,
mm.
and one that tests really well for EPO, which means like people like Usman could never even have a career. Because I
I
guess they didn't have a very good EPO testing system,
uh,
and they're not going to be doing intravenous tests anymore. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. So it's no longer going to be an intravenous testing, like blood testing sample, where it's just going to be kind of a poke and draw off a smaller blood sample. So, I mean, it sounds like everything's good. I think the meme of it is everyone's thinking like TRT
Connor.
Reaper stage, yeah, Connor or whatever.
Mm,
And but that's true too. Like, not, I would never want to back up someone like Connor, especially what USADA was like. Why'd you have to bring Connor up out of nowhere like that? Like, what the fuck? Like,
mm-hmm.
what is? I mean, really? Okay, sure, probably, but business is business, and it is what it is. But why do they have to like single out a fucking fighter like that and make it all about? You know what I mean? There's like, it was a really weird thing that the
Oh, you mean in their statement that they
yeah,
made after they announced
yeah,
it? Yeah, it seems like that was what they were really trying to hang their hat on. Which the Connor stuff, I don't have a problem with them like really making him adhere to the rules because
yeah.
well, for one,
No,
when
but why bring it up in a statement? You guys are supposedly world class. Just be
to
like
save
they're
face,
fighters, yeah. And
yeah,
they could have done it and alluded to it in a very legal and very like straightforward way where everybody kind of knew what they were saying without saying it.
mm.
But to say it that way is very childish the way they did it. So I didn't like it.
No, I agree. I think it was probably like the only case where they can point out like some perceived hypocrisy on the part of
Mhm.
the UFC. So that's just what they went with. And
Yeah.
I mean, timing wise, it's very very convenient. Like the way this announcement came out, which I guess was timed because USADA came out and made it, whereas the UFC was going to hold on to this a little bit longer and make the announcement at a later date. But the first thing that everybody immediately assumed was like, oh, they're parting ways with USADA for Connor because
Mm.
they want him to come back and right at the beginning of the year. And I mean that's the first thing that I thought too, until
Yeah.
you hear more details and you know that their contract was up. It
Yeah.
wasn't a deal where it's like, oh, we're splitting. Like they're just deciding to not re-sign with USADA and
Yeah.
continue their deal. Um,
Yeah.
and as far as the whole Connor thing, I mean, yeah, like I said, I didn't have a problem with USADA really trying to enforce that because I think that's just what they've been doing with everyone else. Now, Has there been a lot of overreach with them? Are they being a bit ridiculous with needing the fighters or demanding that the fighters always like report their location to them at all times and going and waking them up in the middle of the night for drug tests? Absolutely. The fighters don't get paid enough for that shit. And I completely agree that that's an overreach for sure. I think the only thing that they were right on is just trying to make Conor follow the fucking rules, because here's the thing. Conor's leg was fucking broken, and just anybody who's seen it, you've seen it, everybody's seen it. I think any fighter who undergoes that kind of injury should take all the fucking steroids that they need to make a full recovery. And I don't blame Conor for doing the exact same thing, because you're rich as fuck. You should preserve your health and your physical well-being. That should come first before the sport at all the way. Yeah. But I want all the other fighters on the roster to also have that privilege. And only Conor has it, really. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't have a problem with their stance on Conor. To say it, to bring that up in their statement, I totally agree, though. It was pretty bitch. Like, well, yeah, of course. The statement at all, period, was kind of bitch. Like,
at your job, I mean, there's guys that have seniority that can, you know what I mean, that could take 3 or 4 shits all day and like no one's gonna say anything because they're there for so long, or they're salesmen that have been there for so long and done so well for the company.
True, but I also don't have to potentially fight them, Yeah,
but I mean, you could. I'm sure you're, especially if they're in the same department as you, you're based up against them, and you go up against them as far as like they're the benchmark for what you should be as an employee.
Well, I think that argument that you're making, well, for one, very, very apples and oranges, but also I think that kind of plays out like if you're talking about seniority and experience and all that stuff. I think the way that translates into the UFC or combat sports in general, or in a league like the UFC, is that like that has an impact on like how you're booked in fights, who you have the opportunity to fight against, and those kind of opportunities. But as far as like physically being able, and how you were able to show up, how you're able to treat your injuries, like outside of having a fight booked and stuff like that, like I'm all for just no drug testing, or because I think that's the only way it'll actually be a level playing field. I think as long as there's drug testing, and it's not to say I want everyone juiced out of their fucking gourd, but
I do.
As long as there is drug testing, the more successful fighters, or the fighters who've made a lot of money in this sport, which are probably going to be some of the best fighters, are going to be able to pay for doctors and experts and stuff like that to beat these tests.
Or in the case of certain fighters that belong to an ethnic group, a nationality, their entire country has a system based to put them through that, because a lot of people don't have the Republic of China creating brand new testosterone esters made from deer livers. Jeez. You know what I mean? Not everyone enjoys that, because it'd be one thing, like I don't think Ireland's like trying to find potato skin testosterone for Conor, you know what I mean? Homie did that on his own, bro. Homie's doing it in a fucking Lamborghini yacht, you know what I mean? Like fucking they're not using like the pancreas of some like Uyghur Muslim, like no.
Conor's got the guy in the meme, the scientist holding up the vial with the green the beaker.
Finding liquid watermelon or whatever.
Fuck, we're horrible. So I'll be curious to see how things go moving forward. It does sound like they are going to get involved with the legit testing body, or whatever they'd be called, which I think you mentioned that they're the same people who test like the NFL, the NBA, and stuff like that. So
test NFL, NBA. They and then the guy who I guess is going to run it is pretty legit. He's like a legit person, like a serious guy, and he trains BJJ, and he goes to all the MMA fights. So
I like to imagine that on his resume and his cover letter, he has legit person, serious guy.
He killed Saddam, dude. He interrogated Saddam, dude.
What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, about this. While we're still on the topic, my closing thoughts. You can add more to it if you want, but I was just going to say, anybody who's listened to this program since the beginning knows I'm not a fan of Luke Thomas.
Dude, nor anybody that listens to this should be, dude. Fucking don't unfollow us, dude.
But I did watch Luke Thomas's reaction video to the news about the UFC and USADA ending their deal, and I have to give him his props, and I agree big time, because he said something that really kind of made it click for me, which is like, show us the proof. And that he kept on banging that drum, is that the USADA, and that statement that they made, came out and tried to make it sound like they speak for the fighters and they're the only ones who has the fighters in mind, and they are all about the well-being of the fighters, and that their work and their testing has made the sport safer for everybody involved. Where is any of the proof that any of that is true? And that's a really interesting angle.
Israel Adesanya has to wear a fucking bra when he swims now. What, like, that doesn't fucking, you know what I mean? Homie's got just grew a titty when he was 35, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
Here's why fact checkers say that that's false.
Yeah, dude. Dude, he has a titty out of his USADA 50 straight test jacket. He has nicer titties than the gal in your background.
No, he doesn't. Fucking liar. The gal in my background is Monty and J.
Oh, man. Shut the fuck
up. The voice crack. Don't say that.
Dude, I'm all yelling in a fucking hotel room, all crazy.
Well, man, so you won't keep disturbing your hotel neighbors. Yeah. We can go ahead and start wrapping it up there then. That was a good episode. I think we are about, just under an hour. Perfect timing. Brandon, thanks for joining me, especially while you're on the road. I'm not going to say why you're in wherever you're at. Let the
San Diego
fans
has the most amazing Mexican food I've ever had. We live in such a shitty place, dude. Bro, I was eating these tacos here. Fuck, dude. They're crazy, dude. Mm. They're really crazy. It's not even the same thing.
Hey, while you're down there, track down that totally legit, totally not a plant San Diego Chargers fan that ESPN and every
Vikings fan. Yeah, no, they're in LA now though. They're the Los Angeles Chargers, so I'm still pretty far away from LA. She's a Vikings fan. Yeah,
she's a Vikings fan. What do you say?
Yeah, have you seen? There's photos of her. She was at a Vikings game. I don't know how long ago it was, but like she has like her face painted with like Vikings colors, and she's wearing a Vikings jersey. And she's like,
my god! So she is a plant.
Like bazzing out. Yeah, she is.
Total. Yeah, I could tell, dude. The acting was horrible. Like I was like, dude, what did they? That grosses me the fuck out. That really grosses me out. Like I wasn't.
Chargers don't have real fans. Mm-hmm. They just don't have fans, and the people down here. I'm working with a guy who's from the area, and I'm like, "Oh, so you're a Chargers fan?" He's like, "No, nobody's a fucking Chargers fan, dude."
I'd actually forgot that they moved to LA.
Yeah, they're in LA now. Yeah,
but when I saw that clip, I was like, that's not a real fucking person. Like that is acting 100%. Like nobody. I don't even know what the context of the game was at that point when she was. That was
pretty much Mad TV level acting right there, dude. That was like
disgusting. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that was our breakdown of UFC 294, which takes place in Abu Dhabi this Saturday. We'll be watching. We'll be up bright and early. And joining that, and we'll be back next week with our recap of this momentous card, and we'll see who gets it done, man. Brandon, thanks for joining me again, dude. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.